School District is called to order at 5:15 p.m. Notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, and a quorum of the board is present. Next order of business is our invocation. I'm going to ask Mr. Joe Caesar if he would voice that for us. If you could please rise.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God in heaven, we come to you in prayer. Father, you've been so much better to us than we have been to you. Father, we understand that it's only by your grace that we can even address you today. We're thankful and we're blessed to be able to live in this state, in this country, and in this city. We pray, Father, on behalf of the board, that we can always make decisions that are in the best interest of the students, the parents, the faculty and the staff, and everyone who resides in this community rather than our own interests. Father, we thank you for Jesus. We thank you for the blood that he shed on the cross. We pray all of these things in his name. Amen.
Amen. You remain standing for our pledges. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to welcome everyone here. We are always excited to see such a nice crowd. Thank you for investing your time to witness the work of the board today as we take actions on behalf of Lufkin Independent School District. Welcome to the meeting. Item number 5, we do not have any comments that where people from the community have a chance to sign up to address the board directly. We didn't have those today, so we're going to move on to item number 6. We're excited today to have a community group here. There was a fairly large group of people from the community that met on our bond advisory committee all fall, and we have 4 representatives from that are here to speak to the board. And they are Dr. Patricia McKenzie, Becky Cota, Chris Johnson, and Jalen Mark. And to lead us off, I'd ask Dr. Patricia McKenzie if she would begin.
Good evening. I was privileged to be selected to serve on the Bond Advisory Committee, and I'm honored to bring thoughts from that meeting to share with you on today. We believe that to plan for the future of Lufkin ISD, we need to be appreciative of the facts of how we exist at this time. You can't make change just by itself. It exists within the core of this outstanding school district. The first thing you look at as the parameter is the district mission. We believe that we can educate and equip all students, underlining all students. That is what we set out to do. And I know that some students don't believe that, but we convince them that what you do in this school district will make a difference in the career pathway that you choose, in the life that you may choose, to be successful, because as citizens, you want to be productive, not just inside of your core group, but you want to share with your community. So the mission of this school district encourages that to take place. And we go beyond that. One of our commitments is to be the district of choice. In order to be the district of choice, there are many factors that must go into play. And we want to share a couple of those with you. There is the belief in this district that every student can learn. Now, we know that every student doesn't come with the same degree of preparation. Some of them are ready. Some of them think they're ready. Some of them believe that they can do anything. But our position is that all students can learn. They have the potential to learn, and we honor the thought that they have the potential. So when we go out to recruit, to hire, to retain educators, we do that with the belief that they are coming not just with qualifications of an educational institution, but they are coming with the ability to be creative, to be innovative, to see the potential in these students, no matter how they enter the system. And they're not all coming as visual learners. They're not all coming as auditory learners. There are various styles of learning. And you say that our commitment is to employ educators who will know how to set up those learning centers. You know, sometimes when you go into a classroom, you get overwhelmed by everything that is set up there. Well, it's because we employ highly qualified educators. And they know that they must have, in that classroom setting, a place for every student to engage in learning. And that does require creative educators. I don't just do things one way and tell you to adjust. I understand that you may need a different way of adjusting to education. But because this district is committed to all students improving, then I have to work very hard in my classroom to make that happen. All educators don't come with the creative skill. So one of our commitments is to help develop them, because they may not have gotten everything they need about humans and interacting with humans. They may have gotten everything they needed in the subject matter, but it takes more than subject matter to produce the kind of students that we say we commit. The achievement gap has to be closed. And guess what our commitment is? For all students. And if the achievement gap is to be closed, then everyone has to be on board with the mission and with the beliefs that we have. It is very difficult for people to do things if they don't understand what you are asking them to do. But we don't leave it up to them. We write it out. We communicate to all of those outstanding educators that we bring into this system because of our commitment to our students, our commitment to our community. And again, we put in writing, we will be the district of choice. And that's because everyone is working to accomplish the same goal, that we have students who understand the subject matter. We have students who can interact with other human beings. We have students who can appreciate what others bring to the table. And I don't have the only opinion, but I have one that I'm willing to share, one that I can communicate to whomever is at the table with me. So we make a great deal about closing the achievement gap because we understand that our students come from varied backgrounds. And it's important for everyone to know that we want to move forward with them. We want to invest in them. And sometimes we have to make changes. We made rounds to look at facilities, yes, and there are some needs there. But we have to begin the very beginning of their journey. There are some elementary schools we need to work on. There are some learning centers we need to work on. You can't just go to the top and hope it will filter down. That is not the way this system operates. This system is designed to be sure that every level works. We transport students, and it's always interesting to find out who we are transporting, because somehow people seem to believe they know who's on those buses that they see and that they pay attention to. And you must also know that the state does have regulations for those buses. We can't just go out and pick a big yellow to transport our students in. We meet the state guidelines for that transportation. But I want you to understand that it's not just one group of students we're transporting. Let me share the information for the ridership on our buses. We have 522 Lufkin High School students that we transport. At Hackney, only 28. At Lufkin Middle School, we have 559 students that we transport. And PK through 5, we have 1,164 students that we transport. Their safety is important to us. And yes, we have a fantastic maintenance department, but they can't make a bus meet state qualifications. And so we must be sure that we have the buses that meet that qualification. Our enrollment is very diverse. Most people wouldn't think of the diversity. Oh yeah, we do have the two major groups that you think of. And in our state report, we go beyond that and explain to the state, because we're always accurate in what we say, because we stand up for what we state at Lufkin ISD. We have American Indian students, we have Asian students, we have Hispanic students, and we have the new category multi-race students, along with the two major groups that we know we have. And so we have to understand the diversity that is here. And that means our staff is diverse, because not every person who leaves education can appreciate every individual who enters a system. But this school district says that you must be committed to make sure that all students. And what does that mean for us? It means that we have different pathways to education. You'll hear something about career and technical education. There are some students who will excel in career and technical education. We can't deny that, because we can't mold them into what we want the society to have. We have to take what they're bringing and make sure that they develop those skills. So some of our learning labs for career and technical education must be improved. We have degrees, and there are people with degrees into career and technical fields. It can happen, but it must have a true beginning, and it must have a foundation on which they can build. And I tell people all the time that just because you start with an associate degree, you don't have to end with an associate degree. Just because you start with a bachelor's, you don't have to end with that bachelor's. Our school district says that we are giving you skills to move forward. Again, to be the best that you can be, building on the potential that you have brought to us. And so you'll hear some things about how we have to change to make that happen, because we've already made the commitment to them. We stand behind that commitment, and we need to be sure that our campus is ready to do what we say on paper is the mission, is the commitment, is the belief in the students that we have. Our community can use them, and we know that in this world, creative thinking, critical thinking is important. But again, not every student will come to you already prepared. But because your commitment is to employ those educators who can set up centers to help them to learn, to recognize their potential, and to be the guide that they need, then we can be the district of choice. Yes, there will be some changes, but not all changes will begin at the top. Some changes will begin in elementary school. Some changes for safe and secure classrooms will begin in elementary level, because every person coming to this school district has the right to have a safe environment in which to learn. And it takes work to make that happen. We don't live in that great safe society that we think we live in. And so having safe and secure classrooms, knowing who's on our campus when they arrive on our campus, and that they have the business of being on our campus is going to be important, because we don't want to ride all of those students into a specific location and then they're not able to walk away from that location. And yes, that's the world we find ourselves in, but we want to be sure that our part of that world is safe, is secure for those students. And so our mission, our beliefs, our commitment to every student coming to this ISD deserves the best that we can give them. And it may take effort. It may take changing a few people and the way they perceive individuals, but that's okay. If they want this to be the district of choice, then they will join with the Bond Advisory Committee in considering those things that need to happen, because we are committed to every student who comes to our school. Thank you.
That's a tough one to follow. My name is Chris Johnson. I'm with GVCS Inc. We're a Whataburger franchisee. I know most of y'all, and it was an honor to serve on the board, and it's an honor to present to the board today. I'm a product of Lufkin High School. My wife is a product of Lufkin High School. I have 3 kids. One I luckily got through Lufkin High School, and she's got the privilege of watching her dance on the drill team. I was in the band. Enjoyed marching on Abe Martin Stadium. It was neat seeing her dance on Abe Martin Stadium. My wife played sports, so I know all that fun stuff. So I'm very familiar with the district. I'm a strong supporter of the district. I'm able to give a lot of food to the district, all the different teams, all the different arts, and it's a joy to do it, and I love being part of this community and being back in this community for the last 20 years. I've been asked to present the numbers, and so I'm going to present numbers. There was 2 propositions that came out of the bond committee, and Proposition A came to the amount of $98,250,000, and that was to fulfill district facilities, safety, and transportation. And I'll go through those. Of that, $65,440,000 is for the high school renovation, which is basically bringing our high school to the level that it needs to be to compete with some of these others and give the stuff and transform the school into what, as we know, education changes over time. So of that $65 million, $21,060,000 is for a career and technology education building, which would be a new addition to the high school, which that's the big thing these days, is CTE. I understand that. I get it. Trades are getting very important, so that's that portion. $1,750,000 would be for elementary school safety and improvement upgrades, which would be things like security systems and metal detectors, and where you have to go through the little box to get your kid and all that good stuff and check in and all that kind of stuff. I keep things pretty simple. I sell burgers for a living, okay? District-wide safety and security is another $2.5 million. There's a new ag barn for $3.5 million. I was very impressed. The FFA came and through this process, and I was very impressed with the whole process of the bond committee. It was done first class and learned a lot, and it was done very well. But I really enjoyed, and I knew some of the kids that presented for the ag barn, and I think that would be a great addition for LISD. $3 million for new school buses, which is greatly needed. It was. We have to keep rolling and get new buses. I know we got a couple of buses this year, and we need to continue to stay on that and keep our buses in compliance. And then the last of the $250 million is $1 million for roof repairs over many different campuses. That's Proposition A, and Proposition B is for a new stadium. I'm at Abe Martin Stadium a lot, and I marched there 30 years ago, I think, and a long time ago, but it's been a big part of my life, and it's not just football players, it's the band members, it's the drill team, it's the cheerleaders, it's graduation, and it'd be so great, and that amount for a stadium, and I'm a very avid sports fan, and I know lots of school districts have very elaborate, expensive stadiums, and I think what was designed is a very modest and would be a wonderful stadium, but that came out to be $42 million. So between Proposition A and Proposition B, that's a total bond package of $140 million, $140,250,000. So I appreciate it. Proud Lufkinite, and go Pack.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right. Good evening, board members, superintendent, and members of the Lufkin ISD community. Thank you for the time, effort, and leadership you continue to give this district. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak tonight about something that goes far beyond buildings and budgets. This is about who we are, where we are going, and what kind of future we want for our kids and community. Over the last 2 months, we've seen something powerful happen. More than 75 community members came together not to argue, but to listen, learn, and collaborate. We walked campuses, reviewed facilities, studied the numbers, heard from administrators, architects, teachers, and most importantly, our students. What became clear is this: Lufkin ISD is full of potential, and now is the movement to invest in it. When we talk about new facilities, renovations, we are not just talking about brick and mortar. We are talking about rebranding our high school and reintroducing our district to families across East Texas and beyond. Schools matter when parents decide where to live. Facilities matter when families decide where to raise their children. And experiences matter when students decide whether they are proud of where they come from. If you build them, they will come. By improving our learning environments, expanding career and technical education, upgrading safety, and modernizing infrastructure, we are telling families Lufkin is the place to be, a place to grow, a place to stay. The impact of this bond would reach every corner of our district, but I want to specifically speak to the importance of the proposed new stadium. Yes, it is a tremendous benefit to football, but this stadium is so much bigger than football. I don't know if people realize, football only uses that stadium 5 weeks out of the year. We don't play a full season there. We're on the road a lot. It is for band members, marching under Friday Night Lights, for cheer and drill team performances, for soccer and track athletes competing at the highest level, and for graduation ceremonies that families will remember for a lifetime. It opens the door for band competitions, regional track meets, and major community events that bring people in Lufkin and showcase our pride. Our current stadium has served the district well. It has a long, successful history and has been given generations of students unforgettable memories. We honor the legacy by building something that carries forward into the future. We've already seen the impact of investment in the New Panther Activity Center gym has been a game changer. The baseball and softball facilities have elevated those programs and the student experience. These projects have proven one thing clearly: when we invest in our kids, the return is real. This bond is about giving students the best of the best, not just so they can compete, but so they can believe in themselves. It's about creating an environment where students feel valued, supported, and proud to wear Lufkin across their chests. It's about making families proud to come back home and say, this is where we want to raise our kids. When people visit Lufkin, we want them to be impressed, we want them to be excited, and we want them to leave saying, I can't wait to come back. This is the opportunity to shape the future of Lufkin ISD, to strengthen our community, and give our students an experience they deserve. An investment in our schools, an investment in our kids, our families, and the long-term success of our community. Thank you for your leadership, your service, and for considering a vision that moves Lufkin ISD forward.
Hello. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Becky Coda, and I'm a local business owner and a former second grade teacher. Most importantly, I'm a mom. I'm here tonight in support of this bond because I do believe deeply in public education and doing right by our children. At its heart, this bond is about our children. Our schools are more than buildings. They are where our kids grow, they discover their strengths, they build confidence, and they prepare for what comes next. When we invest in learning environments that are safe, modern, and supportive, we are sending a powerful message to our students that they matter and that their education is worth investing in. I want to recognize the district for how well the process was handled. The Bond Advisory Committee meetings were thoughtful, transparent, and open. The community was informed, questions were welcomed, and the needs were clearly explained. The bond wasn't rushed, it was definitely carefully planned, and that matters. This issue is definitely personal to me. I have a junior in the early college high school program who plays percussion in the Lufkin High School band, and he's on track to graduate with his associate's degree. He began his educational journey in the GT program at Dunbar Elementary. I have a 7th grader at Lufkin Middle School who's in the STEM program who attended Burley and Slack in the dual language program. And my daughter is currently at Brandon Elementary in the GT program. I've seen firsthand how programs and strong learning environments open doors for students. I've watched my own children benefit from the opportunities at LISD that prepare them for college, careers, and life beyond the classroom. I'm also a former 2nd grade teacher. While I didn't teach in this district, I do know how much the environment matters for student engagement, safety, and success, and for the educators who support our students every single day. I also believe it's important to recognize the momentum that this bond would create. Following the middle school renovation with high school upgrades helps maintain continuity and prides our students as they move through the district. It tells them that as they grow, their schools will grow with them, and that matters for morale, engagement, and school culture. At the same time, I do appreciate the district's clarity about what comes next. Planning will begin immediately to address our primary and elementary campuses because those schools are absolutely a priority. It's also responsible to acknowledge that we don't yet know what the long-term future looks like for some of those campuses, and therefore investing large sums of money without clarity wouldn't be the best approach. I also want to speak directly about the new stadium as well. It's outlined in Proposition B, and it does play a critical role in student life. A large portion of our student population utilizes the stadium, and just as others have said, it's not just football. I know that's what the community is going to respond to. It seems like the go-to, and it's definitely not. For many students, this is where they perform, compete, celebrate milestones, and represent their school with pride. Ensuring this space is safe and functional is about supporting students across multiple programs and not just athletics. I appreciate that the bond is clearly structured with Proposition A, including the high school and all other renovations, and Proposition B solely for the stadium. That transparency will allow voters to make informed decisions. I also want to address the tax impact. That wasn't brought up tonight, but that is super important to our families who are going to be making the decision on this, should it go through. For the average homeowner, this bond equates to approximately somewhere around $7 to $9 a month in additional taxes. That's about the cost of a fast food meal, maybe a little less, y'all, or a streaming subscription to Netflix. The return on that investment in student safety, education, and opportunity is priceless. It's also important to note that senior citizens who qualify for exemptions will see no tax impact at all. As a real estate professional, there's something else I want to bring to the table. Families move to communities because of schools. Parents choose where to live based on the quality of educational programs and opportunities that are available to their children. And we have incredible programs and outstanding teachers in this district. But too often, those strengths are housed in aging facilities that don't reflect the level of excellence happening inside the classrooms. We've seen firsthand how investment matters. Following the middle school renovation, enrollment has increased and pride has grown. because families can see that this district is committed to its students. When families choose to move here for our schools, it strengthens our community. It reflects confidence in this district, and it supports long-term growth. Quality school facilities attract families, increase enrollment, strengthen our tax base, support job growth, and all while benefiting our local businesses, stabilizing property values, and helping communities thrive. I want to be clear, though, that's not the reason we're here tonight. It is all about the children. It's about creating the learning environments that support growth, safety, and opportunity. It's about preparing our students for what comes next, and it's about making thoughtful decisions today that will serve this district and this community for years to come. I fully support this bond, and I appreciate the leadership, transparency, and care that went into bringing it forward. Thank you for your time.
For all four of you. I just want to express our appreciation from the board and the administrative team of the district for the investment that people in our community, it was about 75 to 80 people in it, so many more besides the four who agreed to come and speak to us today. Thank you for summarizing the work. It was all fall. There were 5 different meetings that were all held at night. Just the meetings themselves totaled to be about 15 hours of investment away from people's families in their home at night, that they could have chosen to do other things, and they invested it in our district to help investigate our facilities to see what the district needs to do going forward. And so I thank the 4 who came and spoke. What your words, that was very inspiring to me to listen to. Very positive, and I think you hit it right where we all see it too. And just wanted to express our appreciation, not just to the 4 of you, but all the people who, because I know there's other people here in the room that served on that committee too. So thank you very much. Anybody else have anything you'd like to say?
I would like all of those speeches recorded and put in some kind of permanent record.
Right.
Those are awesome, so thanks.
The only thing I would add is that this has been a 2-year process that we started last year when Mrs. Gay called for a future facilities committee. So we had some of those 75 folks that she mentioned also served on our FFAC committee last year. So this is not just one fall, it's been about 1.5 years long process looking at it. And so I think that's important to note as well.
Thank you so much. We're going to move now on to the next item, number 7, recognition of the 2025-26 National Board Certified Teachers for certifications earned. And I'll ask Shelley Slate and Cindy Tierney to do this next portion.
Well, we are very, very excited to introduce these teachers to you, but before we do that, I want to give you a little background on what National Board Certification is and kind of how we got to where we are now. So we got a group of teachers together. This has been multiple years ago, probably in 22. And the teachers wanted to know, how do we get nationally board certified? It's kind of considered the gold standard of teaching, and it's part of the teacher incentive allotment. So from there, we started trying to brainstorm, what can we do? We wrote a grant in 23 and received the grant, and then we partnered with Region 7, and not only did our teachers want us to be able to fund it, but also to support them at the district level and to provide them time. So they weren't out there on their own trying to do it. And so we were really excited to start that program, and it took 2 years. And in that program, they are required to do trainings, they make videos, they submit a portfolio, they have to take an assessment at the end to really become the expert in their subject area. So we're super, super excited to finally see this come to fruition and have some nationally board certified teachers in our district. This is about a 5-year project for us. And it just goes back to what we believe in, that our teachers are our best asset. And us committing to providing this program for them is really, I just want everyone to understand how impactful that is for our students and our teachers, and how proud I am of these teachers I'm just super excited. We're gonna introduce them, if that's okay, and have them come up so Caitlin can take a picture for us too. Okay.
Okay. Celebrating tonight, we have Miss Jill Brantner from Anderson. We have Miss Angela Duncan from DEC. Shelby Farr from Dunbar. Shelby Jacobs from Trout. Heather Price from Dunbar. And Christine Tarbutton from High School. We are so very proud of each of these ladies and the work that they have put into this and the achievement that they have been awarded. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I got
I add some words.
Yes.
I want to add to this. I don't know if we can say enough about this accomplishment for these ladies and what it means for our school district and our students. Shelley did a great job, but it goes far beyond that. It is the most challenging, comprehensive, long-term commitment of preparation that they've probably ever faced. And this is no easy task. This ranks, and there's not many of you because it's that difficult. They're going to be recognized for a pinning ceremony
At next Wednesday at Region 7.
at Region 7. I'm trying to get it out. I apologize. Next week. And I will bet when we're in that room with the other recipients across the region, there's not going to be many, but most will be from Lufkin.
We have the most.
We have the most. The greatest thing for our students. And thank y'all for your commitment and going through the process and finishing it. I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you so much on behalf of the board. We agree with everything that Dr. Hockenberry just said. Just your willingness to put in the extra time and effort. That was a lot of hours. And I know that it's in addition to your classroom work that you're still required to do, your own families at home. Huge investment, and we thank you so much, and we're counting on y'all to be those leaders for the people behind you that are going to look to you to mentor them and encourage them to take part in this process too, because we want to grow this group of people here at Lufkin ISD. So thank you for being here tonight to share this with us.
So not that I'm competitive, but can we get the numbers at the pinning ceremony?
I think I already know them, but I don't want to say them until I'm there and can really.
Okay, so I would love to know what districts they're from.
Yes.
And how many they have.
Okay, item number 8, discussion and possible board approval of the financial audit report for the year ended 6/30/2025. We have Molly Abley from Carr, Riggs, and Ingram here to present the report.
I think you said it is loaded on your screen, but I do have some paper copies if anybody wants a paper copy. I can take some. Okay. I'm gonna kind of limit the numbers we talk about because you would hear me probably say 47 times, hey, we changed year ends this year, and so your numbers compared to prior year are 12 months versus 10 months, so that's going to be a lot of it. But there were a lot of things that have been happening this fall, so I do want to start with that. The first and foremost is a couple of items, which is the uniform guidance, which the compliance supplement that houses the information and requirements for your federal single audit. That was not finalized from the government until the very last week, almost the last day of November. And then that began the process of our having to get your single audit finished, wrapped up, and reviewed by a quality control reviewer. So it's delayed that process. And in doing that, TEA came out and said that we are giving everyone an extension to February. In addition to that, TEA has a new system to upload your audit and submit all of your stuff to the state. That was also one of the reasons they gave that extension to everyone is because they have not even opened their new system up yet. I know, I imagine. It was originally supposed to open today, and I found out Monday when I looked that it was even pushed back to the end of January. So, it may be March by the time we get there. I'm not sure. So, being here in January, nothing is late, nothing is due yet until the end of February currently. Knock on some wood. But we will get your draft finished up. We will get everything reviewed through that process. And it's just a third-party process for our quality control process that comes in and looks at our work that we do, and that's already been reviewed. But so that was some interesting things that are still going on. And then not only did we have that, but we actually had a new standard that was issued this year as well. And really, it only affects your government-wide information, and we'll kind of look at some of that information in just a minute. But what it did was change the way that we account for accrued compensated absences. Before now, we typically just came in and adjusted for amounts that would be paid next year, potentially, or in the next few years. But now it came in and made us analyze what we could pay in the next couple of years and what someone could use in the next few years. And we had to put a dollar amount to the used days is really the difference. So it kind of went from just a monetary value to a monetary and kind of quantitative, created a monetary value into that. So it did require a prior period adjustment to your government-wide statement only. It did not affect any day-to-day operations. It did not affect your operating fund or your general fund of the school district. So we've got that all trued up in here, and I think yours was just over $200,000, so it wasn't super significant in the grand scheme of things. But those were just some of the highlights that are going on. But we will get all of that submitted timely as soon as the system opens up. We hope that it won't crash, but I suspect it probably will. But we will get that going. On page 9 of your audit report, well, before you get to that, we are issuing an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion we can give. It states that everything here is presented fairly in all material respects. But on page 9, this is kind of your statement of activities of the entire school district put together all in one. It takes into account all of the funds. It takes into account all of your assets, all of your debt, and in addition to that, your pension and OPEB entries at year end. But over the entire school district, your net position at June 30th did increase just under $1.7 million. Of course, this includes your assets, your debt. It also includes some grossing up entries that we have to do for the pension and OPEB that kind of flow through this statement. Now flip over to page 15, I believe it is, in your book. Hopefully, I could say that. It's Exhibit C1 if you look at the top. And that first column there is your general fund, which is your operating fund of the district. You can see at the very top line, you're just under the $20.1 million in cash and cash equivalents. Of course, we always like to compare that down to your total fund balance in the general fund of just under the 30.1. So you have 67% of your fund balance is in cash. It's a highly liquidable fund balance. The cash is there when you need it. And then 2 pages down is basically your changes in your general fund. And your total overall increase in your operating fund for the school district was just over that $6.5 million of fund balance increase in the current year. That brings your total up to about 44% of your annual expenditures in your fund balance. It's a very healthy fund balance. TEA considers anything over 24-25% to be healthy, and we're well over that. Of course, it did help, switching year ends, you have a little bit of difference between some things that weren't, like, for instance, your August bond payment didn't come out in June, right? So those were kind of moving your year end, kind of chew some of that up, which is not always in your general fund. And then there are some things that are trued up through August. So any salary contracts that you have through August or September, we do account for those payroll. So your payroll is trued up for their contracts that are approved through the year end. And then there's some tax revenue that 60-day collections are trued up for that kind of year end shift. But overall, you had a very healthy increase in your fund balance in the current year. And you also stayed under budget in doing so and came in a little bit better than you expected in your budget as well. So, flip to the right page. Excuse me, I did not flag it for myself, which would have been handy. In the very back of your report is your single audit information. We did this year look at your Title I program and your Century 21st Learning Grant. Both of those grants are working as intended. We've had no compliance findings or no issues to report under those. And then, of course, our standard communication requirements. If we had any issues, problems, concerns, we'd have to report that to you as the governing board. Happy to report we had no issues, problems, or concerns, except for with the state and federal government this year. But we will get all of that wrapped up and get everything submitted on time the best that we can. So, but kind of the short and sweet of it, but any questions?
Can I get our copy of the audit?
Yes, absolutely.
Two, please.
Sure.
All right, thank you so
Thank you.
much
Thank you.
for the report, and then we're gonna follow up Molly's presentation that Keith Weddington, CFO for the district, he's going to follow up with just some general remarks to kind of summarize things for the board too.
First off, I'd like to just start out by giving a big thank you to all of my staff in my office for all the work they've done this past year, as well as our campus and department principals and secretaries. It's a combined effort of everybody in the district to make sure that we have a clean audit at the end of the year. So I'm just going to do a little overview. It's not moving. Okay. So I would like to start off with the general fund. As you can see here, this is the unassigned fund balance for the district. So these are the funds that have not been assigned or committed for specific projects. So it's more or less like our savings account. So it's things that we have tucked away for if anything is ever needed in the past. So as you can see here, this is over the last 5 years. So our fund balance this year actually increased by $8,145,000. Part of this is due to the changing fiscal year, but I'm happy to announce that we have fully recovered from those 2 years of deficits and the impact it had on our fund balance. So So as I said, we also have a part of fund balance that are for assigned projects. And right now the district has 2 of them. We have one for replacing turf, and this is money we've set aside for the future to replace turf, whether it be at a Martin Stadium, the TJ Turner facility that, as y'all know, this past year was pretty outdated as far as being replaced. as well as for the baseball and softball complexes, as those also have turf. And then the other fund balance that we have is for the capital projects that y'all actually approved back in July. And so this is separate from the slide that we just showed you. The student nutrition department has also had an increase this year. They increased their fund balance by $564,000. So they're still increasing as well, which is showing a healthy operation for that budget. All right. The debt service actually has a much larger increase this year, and this is due purely for the change in fiscal year. As you can see, we are almost at $8 million over the last 4 years. Over the last 4 years, it's been pretty steady with a slight increase, but this is a big increase this year. And so, as I said, this is purely due to the change in our fiscal year. The payment that we make in August was about $5.1 million, and that typically is booked right at year end, which is what causes our steady increase in fund balance. But this year, it's actually falling the next fiscal year. So it's an artificial inflation because it doesn't actually mean that we have collected $5 million more than we're needing to pay out. It is purely timing of when those payments happen. So when you pull that back out, our true debt service fund balance is about $2.7 million. Does anybody have any questions on that? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the spontaneous applause says it all. We had 2 years of a deficit budget, made some changes, and I'd like to thank Dr. Hockenberry's leadership, the people that are underneath him, our administrative team, Keith's team. It takes everybody working together. There were a lot of changes that were made to get us here, and it wasn't easy. It was stressful, but it worked, and I'm just so proud to find us here in this position that we're in right now, financially. Thank you. Okay, so we need to take action on the audit report before we move on to the next item.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the audit report as it was presented to us. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you for your work on the audit. I know that it was a different year. That was a challenge with the change in the accounting year for us. That created some additional work and ways of looking at things to make sure it was done correctly. So thank you and your team. And I'm going to read it here, Carriggs and Ingram, because I had to look down to make sure I said it right. But anyway, we appreciate the work that you did on this and your leadership of that project. Thank you. Now we're on to item number 9. I'll call on Caitlin Smith of School Board Appreciation. Oh, that's us.
Yes, it is. Okay, so first of all, good evening. January is School Board Appreciation Month, a time to recognize and thank our school board members for their dedication, leadership, and commitment to serving our students, staff, and community. We are grateful for the time and care they invest in guiding our district forward. As a small token of appreciation, gift baskets have been placed in the back behind you, made possible through contributions from each of our campuses. They each contributed something that was specialized to them. So thank you to our board members for all you do, and to our campuses for also helping make the baskets possible. So they each have a certificate in them. There's lots of goodies, lots of good things. So don't forget it on your way out, or somebody might break into it. So, but thank you for your dedication, your leadership, and like I said, your commitment. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay there.
Yes, I was going to say, I'm just going to stand here.
I'm very excited to see the work that's been done for our next item. Caitlin Smith will also do the presentation and preview of our new district website and mobile app.
I am extremely excited to present this today, so if I get to talking fast, just disregard. I have been working on this for months. I meet with the company, Apogee, that we decided to go with weekly, almost sometimes daily. It has been a long process, but I am super excited to unveil what I have been working so hard on. I told somebody today this has pretty much been my little baby, and so it's nice to see it come to life. I do want to preface there's still work to be done. It is not exactly perfect in my eye. There's still lots of things that I want to add to it and shape it and mold it. But this is a reimagined way of telling the Lufkin ISD story and making the invisible visible. So I'm going to change the way it's done. So, couple of things. Our website, each of our campuses, our Panther Early Learning Center, our Hackney Learning Center, our Early College High School, our Office of Innovation, and then of course our district will all have a site. It'll all be tailored to those different sites. So, Brandon will be specified to Brandon and its programs that it offers and its colors and its mascot and all the fun things. I really wanted to highlight our program offerings. When I was getting hired at Lufkin, realized that wasn't shown as much as it should be. So with the app, I'm going to demonstrate both of them, but there's a live feed. You can see events that I have uploaded and that each campus can upload. There's documents, school lunch menus, athletic teams, staff directories, and then it'll also be tailored to the campuses. You can switch in and out. If you have a kid at just Brandon Elementary, you can see just Brandon Elementary. If you want to see the entire district, you can see the entire district. If you have a kid at multiple campuses, you can tailor it to multiple campuses. So within our website and our app, it's also going to be tailored to your language preference. So there's translation capabilities as well. As far as the launch, I'm going to start marketing the app as soon as this presentation is over with. We're going to go live with the website, and we're going to fully transition into a new Lufkin ISD website and app in the way that we are put out there. So within that as well, this summer I hope to add a communication piece. This will pretty much replace Remind and Class Dojo, and it'll be in your app. So when you open that Lufkin ISD app, if you need to talk to your student's teacher, you can do it right there and see everything else that's going on. So it's a one-stop shop for everything Lufkin ISD.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate the website, and it's going to kind of jump in and out. Maybe, there we go. Okay, so first things first, we have pop-up banners now. I have this one to show that the applications for Avail Apply for our program of choice is open. So this is the first thing you see. You can't go anywhere else as long as this pop-up's open. You have to click out of it or you have to click the link. This is essentially what you'll see first. We have a couple of links up at the top. This is a new video produced by our AV production team over at the high school. They do a fabulous job, and I try to use them as much as I can because they do such a good job. So, welcome to Lufkin ISD. Here we put every student every day, and if this mouse will cooperate. You have a couple of quick links: student enrollment, transportation, parent portal, employment, and school board. You have your mission statement as well as a couple of blocks here that show every student every day with a couple of icons that show a little bit of what we do. You have your news and events. I've gone through and added events in that I know of from now until the end of the school year. And then within our news, you can see stuff that I've gone in and post so that people see some of the things they've already seen and they say, okay, this is where this is going to be. This is where I can find information. Here's our programs piece. Right now I have advanced academics, athletics, career and technical education, dual credit, dual language, early college, high school, fine arts, gifted and talented, our soon JROTC, and then STEM. And there's a little bit of short blurbs people can get information from of just general district programs, kind of a little bit what they are, where they're at, what they do. And then why Lufkin ISD, this is some statistics that I've put in. We have a 97% graduation rate. We have a variety of programs in place for all students. and then we're an innovative district. Dr. Hockenberry's favorite headshot. Don't worry, we're going to be replacing it soon. We have a headshot day coming up. This is a little bit about our superintendent of schools and why he's awesome and why we're thankful for him. And then we have another video produced by our AV production team. If you've been to a football game, you've seen this video. It's every student, every day. It highlights a little bit of each program within the district. And then I have a spotlight piece. This is where I want to spotlight our staff. Right now we have Mr. Randy Burton, our Director of Transportation. I've already done a get to know him on our Facebook. But this is where I want to highlight the people that work for us and why they are great and what they do and why we're thankful that they're here at Lufkin ISD, but also why they chose Lufkin ISD. And then at the bottom, this is our live feed. This is kind of like your notification center. So within the app, I'll show this piece. It's just kind of a district-wide announcement and then just your normal footer with all your schools and the way you can stay connected. So I do want to show next our parents and students page. So this is your menu. This is what you'll see. This is everything that you'll possibly need. You can see athletics teams, lunch menus, events, news, staff directory, all the fun things. So if you go to your parents and students page, this is what it looks like. I've kind of redesigned the way you see it. You've got your helpful links, your handbooks and dress codes and policies, but I've cleaned it up a little bit. You don't have the long, daunting list of bullet points and all the things that you're like, I don't know what this is. So from here, we're going to go to student enrollment. Right now, we've got our apply option open for our school choice programs, and then I'm going to go into this Avela Explore piece. This is something that Dr. Pariseau and I have been working hard on, and we're very proud of it. We think it's another great tool for our parents and students and community for people looking to join the Lufkin ISD family. So from there, you've got your different types of enrollment. I wanted to make sure that with this, you didn't click on one and get confused. So I wanted to differentiate between them and differentiate between student transfers and also add it to the enrollment page because it used to be a separate page of its own. Next, we've just got some information and then our qualifications and then frequently asked questions. I asked Janae, I said, you get phone calls all the time. What are some frequently asked questions regarding registration that you get? And so these were just a couple. As more come up, we'll add them there. But I thought it was a great way for people to kind of click through and have their questions answered. So then from there, we're going to go to the Explore page right here. This is an interactive map. So it shows all of our schools. So if you wanted to differentiate between, let's do Brandon Elementary, it's got the picture of the school, about it, meet the principal, and then it also will highlight your different programs that that school offers. So from there, you can save it with this button here, and then say you're like, okay, maybe I want to look at a different elementary school for my student. I'm going to look here, okay, but I want to compare the two. So you go to Save Schools. You have your saved ones, and then you can compare them. You can put them side by side and figure out which one's best for your student, but also the parent. So within that, we've got our employment linked, our new student enrollment page linked, contact us and a little bit about us. So I'm very excited about this piece. I think it's a great tool, like I said earlier, for our parents trying to decide what would be the best option for their student. So I'm going to get X out of this. I'm going to go back. From there, I wanted to show just a couple of campus pages. So like I said earlier, they're tailored towards each school. So this is Brandon Elementary's. You've got those same quick links, but I've added a couple more that I noticed were on each primary and elementary school's page. So I didn't want those to be missed. The same mission statement, same setup for news and events. Why Brandon Elementary? I've highlighted that it's a gifted and talented school program of choice. And then we've got strong academics. We're leading today's students, but we're also preparing tomorrow's leaders. I also wanted to add a little bit about the school, maybe why it was named the way it is, who it was named after, who it accommodates, And then Janae helped me on this, so thank you very much, Janae. I appreciate that. And then just that same commercial down at the bottom, just every student, every day. So now we're going to go back and we're going to demo the app. And I am extremely excited about this. It's new, and I think it's going to be a great tool for parents and students and community members as well. So, let me go full screen of this. So this is what it would look like on an iPhone. It's available on iPhone and the Google App Store, so for Androids. So this is what it...
Can we get it now?
Yes, you can. You got ahead, Dr. Huckleberry. So this is what it would look like on the Apple App Store. You download it. This is what it looks like on your home screen. It actually says Lufkin ISD underneath it. And then I'm not going to do the little... You open it. This is what it will look like. It takes just a couple of seconds. And then this is the home screen. So you see everything that, I have posted from the district. Or you can, let's see if we'll do it here. Yes, or you can select just your student's school. So from there, you go to more, and this is where your staff directory, your school lunch menus, any documents, forms, athletic teams will be. This is what the events will look like, and then you click it, and it gives you a calendar view, and it also, it's in a video. So this is your documents. Most documents that have been uploaded to the website will show up here. Forms, same thing. Dining, this is where school lunch menus will be. It'll tell you each day. Staff directory, and then you click on, you can also search. So if you're like, I don't remember the principal's name over at Brandon Elementary, but I know they're for sure the principal. If you're in Brandon Elementary, you can type in principal at the top, and it'll bring up that person. This is just what it looks like. Email, call, choose your department. This is your notification. So those district-wide announcements that we'll have, this is where it'll come up, and you'll be able to turn on that notification, and it'll come up on your lock screen or home screen or badge or wherever. Settings, this is where you can change your language preference. So if you're primarily Spanish speaking, you can change it to where it accommodates for you. That's also where, in any other language, this is also where your notification preferences are, as well as your schools, as it shows here. And then you can subscribe to different schools. So like I said earlier, if you want to look at the district stuff and then just Brandon Elementary, this is how you would do it. Default organization, and that is the app. And then, since Dr. Hockenberry got a little bit ahead, so I also wanted to mention some of my key goals behind this. It's really to tell the Lufkin ISD story in a modern and fresh and engaging way that reflects who we are today, but also honoring our rich history and strong community culture. Also wanted to showcase why Lufkin ISD is a great place to be. I wanted to highlight our commitment to excellence, growth, and opportunity, and the outstanding programs and services we offer. I always say it's a great day to be a Lufkin Panther, and I wanted to showcase why I believed in that. So, like I said, our programs, we've got academics, fine arts, career and technical education, student support programs. And then lastly, I wanted to create a user-friendly and informative experience. I have seen that there's different ways of effective communication, and I wanted these two pieces to still be effective communication, with also telling our story, and I wanted it to help parents and the public easily access information, while also clearly communicating our values, successes, and impact across the district. And then, wrong button. Okay, we jumped. Okay, so this is just a short video.
ISD app.
Kind of explains the app a little bit more.
For district news, school updates, events, and more. The news feed makes it easy to keep up with important announcements, stories from your district, and specific schools. Keep track of upcoming events. Add them to your calendar or share with friends. Access lunch menus, documents, and other district resources. You can see all new alerts and posts in the Notification Center, but don't forget to enable push notifications so you never miss an update. Download the Lufkin ISD app today.
So to end that, here is the QR code that you can scan to download it. It is out there. I was the first person to download it and play around with it and get a feel for it. It's very user-friendly, and I am extremely happy to see all the hard work, all the ideas come together. So that is our new website and app. I hope to go live with the new website tomorrow. Like I said, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of ideas that I still have, and I will continue to work towards those ideas. But this was a huge goal that I had in mind for Lufkin ISD, and I'm extremely excited to see it come to life. So that is the new way of showcasing the Lufkin ISD story.
Good job.
That's a great presentation. It was just as exciting as I was anticipating. So thank you for coming and showing it to us. I've already got it on my phone, got my app downloaded already, and it's already there. There is no going live. It's already ready. So thank you for that. That was very positive. All right, item number 11, Spanish language and culture program at Lufkin Middle School. And I'm going to call on Jill Gaston to do the presentation for that.
Well, I don't have a fancy presentation, so you do have some documents that were uploaded into the board book earlier so that you could review those. In keeping in the same vein as many other things that we've seen tonight, we as an administrative team have really adopted a continuous improvement mindset, and we're constantly looking at programs and things that we have had in place. And how can we better those to meet that every student, everyday mindset? And so back in the fall, we were working through programs, looking at things, and we really realized as a team that the dual language program, and specifically bigger than that, the LOTE program, so the languages other than English that are offered at the middle school, could be revamped in a way that really met the needs of more students and fostered that every student, every day mentality. So we worked together through the fall as a middle school team, going into high school, really trying to round out the program that is sustainable and make it something that students, as they go into high school, really have a strong foundation in languages coming out of the middle school, so that hopefully as they go through high school, through dual credit, potentially AP classes, we set them up for the most success that they can have. So we have revamped what offerings we have coming into the middle school, so 5th grade coming into 6th grade. We have some flowcharts in your board book. We've had parent meetings this week that I would overwhelmingly say were positive in terms of meeting those changes and thinking that we're headed in a good way. We are accepting feedback to try to make sure that we have thought through every student every day and really try to look through the lens of all the kids coming in and how can we create something that's beneficial for them all. And so we're in the process of getting feedback, going back through the flow charts and really adapting those where needed. Quite honestly, there's not many adaptations that have been suggested. So we've put a good plan together that's very collaborative throughout the district, and it's been very well received. So we're hoping over the next couple of weeks to, if we need to make tweaks, make those tweaks. But as middle school students are, selecting their classes and going through that process with counselors and having those conversations, that the new courses that we have put together and will be working on with curriculum between now and August will be available for their selection. So that's kind of a brief rundown of the process. It has been very collaborative between district administrators, campus administration to try to really foster a great program.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions or comments?
The only question I have is the 8% weight applied for high school credit, is that in line with the percent weight for all advanced classes?
Yes. Yes. Those percentages don't change through this program, or through the updates to the program.
My question is this: are there any other courses offered at Lufkin High School or Lufkin Middle School that the prerequisite before the weighted course, so specifically Spanish 2 for 8% weight, are there any other courses that the prerequisite to get into, to be eligible, is on a pass-fail?
Julie, do you know?
No. Dual credit in AP is open enrollment at the high school, and so depending on what course you're enrolling into, there could be. So we'd have to really look at every single course to answer that fully. So I don't know that I can answer that tonight.
But that would be a lot of scenarios, but we could look at it and get you an answer.
It was a big task, but I appreciate the fact that you said that you're still listening. So
Absolutely. We want to make sure that we're hearing, not, we're actually internalizing whatever the concerns are, suggestions are, and try to make it the best for every student every day that we possibly can. And so we're trying really hard to collect that feedback and wrap it up into whatever we come out with at the end of the process.
I don't want to belabor the point on the 8% weight, but I've never seen it before. Could you explain how that works? What does that mean?
That's always been there, it hasn't changed. This is not new.
Weighted credit.
So you take a class in middle school, and then you get 8% of the credit?
No. So these are high school courses. So they do get stamped on the transcript for a child in high school. An advanced class does have an additional weight because of the rigor that's involved in that course. So your dual credit classes have an additional weight. Your AP classes have an additional weight when they get stamped on the transcript. So that it encourages kids to take those more rigorous courses instead of a discouragement of I'm going to end up with an 85 or whatever that grade is because I'm taking a harder course.
Gotcha. Because I think the flip to that is a kid who's not been through dual language for 6 years that goes into a pass-fail in the 6th grade with no preparation is ready for an 8% weighted class, and does that water it down for the program? So
should we not give them that choice?
I'd be happy to share with you later, but I personally think that there are kids who do not go to dual language who are completely prepared to enter into the program in the 6th grade. But I think it's a very small group of people. There's a young lady that was my son's age. She'd grown up in Argentina. She moves to Lufkin in the 3rd grade. She couldn't enter into dual language. She was completely prepared. She could have entered into the program. But we don't need to leave it up to mom and dad. In my opinion, we don't need to leave it up to mom and dad to say, oh, my kid's ready to go into that class. They should prove that they're ready with the same, maybe take the IPT or whatever test. This is just my opinion. You said you were listening, so I just think that they should prove so that we're not, so the rigor of that Spanish 1 and the rich for kids that have been in dual language for 6 years is not affected because we're allowing anybody whose mama was loud enough to get them in that class. Just my opinion.
What I like about it, Matt, is like if my child was GT, if he wanted to try it because he is extremely bright and wasn't successful, we've now created 2 more options where we're able to move that student out without interfering with the curriculum being taught in that class. So there's kind of a safeguard in there.
I like that.
Yes, and I love that too because now we're saying, okay, you're very bright.
Yeah.
Try it, but we've got a safeguard here, and we can put you in this discovering language course. So
Again, I think that me personally, Well, we have a test that we can give them to see if they are prepared.
But you're only gonna do well on that test if you know the language. You know what I mean? Like a very bright child may not have any background in the language.
It's kind of the point about whether or not they're prepared. So, yeah. I do like the right-hand side completely of the diagram where a kid who does not have that experience completely has the opportunity to have that same experience. They're just not going to be entering in at the same place that a kid who's been in dual language for 6 years is. And there are kids that completely could, but it's not many.
But don't you want them there?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You want to give those,
put them there.
but I think you let them test into it to prove that they're capable, so that you're not watering down the curriculum for the kids who should.
Well, I don't think there's any discussion that anything's gonna be watered down. It's gonna be like it is. You're gonna sink or swim.
To back
Not
up,
on a pass fail.
well, and to back up Matt's point to some extent, I mean, and we had this conversation the other day, is that to implement something like this, there has to be a very high level of rigor, and I don't mean just in the classroom, like from administration, from your teachers, to have that tough conversation. I mean, because we all live in a pretty small sandbox, you know, we all know the teachers, and the teachers with the parents and the students, and so just making sure we have that honest conversation when a kid can't handle the Spanish one enriched, to make sure that they do off ramp when they need to. It's gonna be a lot of hands-on work with the teachers and admin and parents to make sure you don't water it.
Yeah, I'm glad we're making these changes. Just want to make sure we do the right thing.
How does it compare to the current, like what they're currently doing at the middle school?
That's why you're seeing these changes.
Yeah.
To bring consistency, a higher level of rigor, more opportunity, and extended learning experiences well into high school. Currently, most kids are stopping their language acquisition after 9th or 10th grade. By building this stronger, you're gonna push that learning. You could push it into high school further. It is our opinion, or my opinion, that dual language is an acquisition program, and that if you're not using it or taking the courses, then if you stop after your freshman year or sophomore year, you're going 2 years. So we want to push that experience all the way through the system and make it enriching. So, did I answer your question? I didn't answer. Say your question.
Melinda, look on the second page.
Oh, what are we doing now?
Okay.
Okay, we're not doing this.
So right now, for the dual language kids going through middle school, it's really Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, like that's where they end up. And we're using the purpose that dual language has already put out there to sort of refocus how we build that language, because we've left out some of the culture piece that really makes dual language learners very strong and that a very usable language. So we've talked to high school and we're in kind of planning processes. What we hope is in a few years that we can build this out in a way that we offer a translation certification. So these kids that do carry it all the way through and do get to the end of that pathway, they've got that cultural background to build into that translation certification. And so there's a couple of new courses that will be created over the next couple of years for those dual language kids that will be more like cultural immersion classes with an emphasis in language. So there's some new courses being added so that those kids have the foundation to carry it all the way through and then hopefully obtain a translation certification.
Linda, let me add on to that. A big part of the reshuffling is 7 or 8 years ago, the state changed where a kid could test and get credit because of their language acquisition for Spanish 1 in the 4th or 5th grade. So at that point in time, for 30-something years, you stay in dual language, you get to 6th grade, you get to take Spanish 1. Well, then 7 years ago, the same group of kids come to the middle school, and some of them already had Spanish 1. The rest, most of them, did not, and so they go into Spanish 1. And you got part of the cohort goes into Spanish 2 and takes Spanish 2 for 2 years. So that's kind of another reasoning for it needed to be looked at, recalibrated.
Okay,
There's
what
a
about
ton
the
of,
kids that aren't in dual language but have started Spanish in middle school?
You take Spanish 1.
Yeah, so they're doing Spanish 1 for 2 semesters, Spanish 2, and then are they allowed to do, when they get to high school, to continue the language
Yes.
acquisitions, because that's what we want them to do?
yes.
Will they be able to, like, what do they do to get to Spanish 3? Like, is that an advanced or?
That would be on page,
It's on it.
It's not
It's
in
not
here.
in there.
And Julie can speak to it probably more eloquently than I can. But this, once the students have gone through middle school and they have obtained that Spanish 2 credit, then they are eligible for Spanish 3. And there's different versions of Spanish 3.
But it's not, like, Spanish 2 is not, right now, at the middle school, not advanced or academic, right? It's just,
it's
not weighted,
It's
not.
only,
We offer Spanish to advance and academic.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
It's right now the advanced only open to kids that have went through the dual language program in
In
elementary
the current
school.
model, yes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the dual language kids also were having to take Spanish 2 for 2 full years. So it's a 1 year worth of curriculum that we've stretched out for 2 full years. So
this
like
fixes that,
this
which is good.
reconciles all that.
Okay.
There's a lot of good. I don't mean to be negative. I have a strong opinion, and there are a lot of people that have a strong opinion about worrying about the integrity of the program when we enter in kids who are not of the same language acquisition as the rest of them. What does that do to the instruction? And that's a valid concern for people who have invested that many years into the program. And this actually creates a way to serve both parents who chose dual language and parents who did not. I just think that entering back in with them in the 6th grade, you should show some level of proficiency. If not, then you go to the right-hand side of the diagram and you still have the opportunity to continue in the coursework. Just my opinion. But I didn't mean to, I'm happy with it.
With your opinion or the
I'm
chart?
happy with the chart. I'm happy with all of it. I'm happy with it in general. I just think, I'm glad that we're going to continue to listen. Because I think a lot of people feel strongly about that.
Yeah, this was not an easy thing to
No.
do.
No.
Some issues were identified, and then it's taken a lot of work to
Yes.
bridge all that over to come up with a plan that would serve everyone well. So, we appreciate the work that's been done on this. Okay, we're gonna move off of this now into item number 12, our administrative reports. I'll first ask Dr. Hockenberry if he has any comments for the superintendent's
I've got a
report.
little bit.
A little bit?
I wanted, if you don't know, I'm gonna talk about our high school cheer squad. If you haven't followed them the last couple of years, they're getting better and better, and they're getting more and more recognition, and they're performing better. They climbed the state rankings in UIL competitions. In fact, I think they're
On their way right now.
right now.
Performing 11:20 tomorrow.
There you go. But they've also now gone to a national level. So if you're not aware, they're one of 10 high schools across the nation that have been made the finals for the Go Big Great Award. And I can talk about the Go Big Great Award if you want to hear about it later, but that's a big deal. And when I heard about that, I wanted to mention it tonight. And we're not talking about 10 schools in Texas, we're talking about 10 across this nation. So I know they're very proud of it. When I saw their pride and excitement, I thought I would share that tonight about our cheerleaders. Update on our weapons detection system. Training, installation, and technology software updates are continuing. We do have an estimated date of full operational launch for Tuesday, February 17th. Communication will begin very, very soon and begin to circulate about the lead up to that launch. Y'all know, our STEM applications window open. We had 62 applications the very first day, which is amazing, for 120 seats, so we're real proud of that. But overall, last, I want to thank you as a board for all you do to set expectations, shape a vision, for the future and keep every student at the forefront of decision making. Tonight, you have seen several positive reports that demonstrate exactly what happens when there is an alignment of purpose and emotional investment and a relentless commitment to being better tomorrow than today. The district is emerging from a challenging time and entering an exciting, innovative, and transformative period. None of this is possible without you. You set the stage, and we follow. So thank you for your service, and most importantly, your dedication, and I hope you will enjoy now measuring the things that we're doing for success rather than creating the things that we're doing for success. So thank you for what you do, and that's my report.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Thanks for that. Okay, normal regular business. Heath Weddington, Business Office Report.
The business office reports begin on page 11. On pages 12 through 16, we have revenues and expenses through December. So we are halfway through the year, and as you can see, our expenditures are below 50%, so we are sitting in a good spot. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but if you notice, the debt service expenditure has jumped up this month, and this is because of that payment that we now have in this year for the August payments. On page 17, we have our investment report. Again, we have about 30% of our funds in our depository bank, and the other 70% are sitting in our investment pool. Of those funds, about 80% are from our general fund. On pages 18, we have the tax collection report. We are a little bit low compared to prior years, our collection percentages, so we're definitely monitoring that, but it's still pretty early in the collection process, so there's nothing really to be concerned about just yet. And then on page 19 is just our quarterly investment report showing the changes from over the last 3 months. On pages 20 through 21, we have updates to our Safe Cycle 1 and Cycle 2 grants. We have received a couple of quotes for some of these last projects we're working on, and so those are actually going to be on the board process later on for approval. But we are nearing the end of those funds, and are pretty certain we'll be well ahead of that April 27 deadline for those grants, so we shouldn't have any problem getting everything tied up before the deadline for the grant. And then on page 22 is our capital outlay update for January. The changes from last month is that the floor machines for the maintenance department, those have been delivered, so we've got those and they're working through getting those set up. The box trucks for maintenance and van, as y'all know, have been ordered and are set to come in early February, but they are actually in the process of designing that rack for the van truck, so hopefully they'll have that in place when the truck gets here and they can get everything put together and get that finished up. For the LMS rear driveway, GLS has started that process of collecting bids, and they are planning, or they're intending to have those in February to where the work can start beginning in the springtime. And does anybody have any questions on any of those reports?
When the truck gets wrapped, can y'all park it out front of the next board meeting?
If we've been in the parking lot, we sure can.
Is it bigger or about the same size? You may not know.
It's bigger.
It's
A
bigger.
little bigger?
It's
Okay.
bigger.
It's a little bigger.
Okay.
Truck's bigger.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot bigger.
More space.
Bigger engine, bigger truck, bigger box, bigger everything.
There you go.
It's big.
All right, thanks for that good report. And now we have Dr. Pariseau, an exciting time for our annual school plan report to the board. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Hockenberry, and all those with us tonight. I think when we opened up, today has just been a time of the inspiration and hearing the empowerment and the change and innovation that is happening here in Lufkin ISD. And, I know Dr. McKenzie kind of opened this up. I felt like I was in church, and I was like, that is exactly what we are about. It's about every student, every day. And the presentation that we're about to go through is really looking at all this data and feedback that we have been collecting over this last year, and how are we putting it together and driving strategic planning towards the future of Lufkin ISD. And so just bringing us back, if you remember back in November, we had come and I spoke to the board and the community about our quality seat analysis. And this is part of our work now with the system of great schools. It is a strategy built around problem solving and delivering to our families, the schools, and the quality of education that they want, that they need, and that they deserve. And so as we go through and discuss, I want to remind everyone that we are a part of an elite group of school districts who are dedicated to this mission. Only 26 out of the 1,200 school districts in the state of Texas. And together with those other 25 districts, we are serving over 800,000 students. When we talk about an annual school plan, it's really about bringing together all of the different elements that drive our work, from the district vision and mission to the North Star goal, to our district goals, even the progress measures. How do we know that we're achieving those elements, as well as the supports? That can be supports from central office teams, can be resources, it can be the professional development, lots of various aspects that help us get to ultimately our district mission and vision and ensuring every student every day. And so it's about continuous improvement. Just bringing us back to the North Star goal that our board has drafted, and that is to ensure that 100% of our schools are A and B campuses, and that we are serving every school quality seats for our students. And so this process starts in the summertime as data is coming out, and we start reviewing the data and the updates at the end of the school year. And a lot of that comes together finally in November as we presented. During that period of November to December, we start working on this annual school plan. We've heard from the community, we've heard from our principals, our teachers, our students, how do we pull all of that together to improve our quality seats? And so it incorporates a lot of things: academic data, demographic data, community input, and long-term trends. And so here's that cycle that we discussed. And so here we are right now in this January through June. And so we're really looking at what are those evidence-supported actions that we're taking as a district to ensure school improvement, to ensure that we are meeting all of the various needs. And a lot of those have been talked about today already. It's the things that we're doing. We also surveyed our community to say what are those innovative programs that they're interested in. And so we shared that and we talked about this in detail. And I just wanted to bring it forward as a visual because these elements, as our community shared with us what they want for their child's education, are the very things that we are working to implement in our plan over the next 5 years. And so, in addition to innovative school models, we heard from multiple stakeholder groups about the need for curriculum alignment from elementary all the way through high school, about K-5 continuity on the campus and being able to have less transitions for kids, about innovative learning models like our STEM program, and innovative CTE pathways, having more opportunities for school choice and recruitment and retention. And so as we lay out this map, bringing in those various elements, many of these pieces we are in the middle of now. For example, the online school choice and transfer application, it launched this week. It launched, and we have already had, as Dr. Hockenberry shared, a huge influx of individuals applying through the various applications that are already open. Discover Lufkin campaign that's launching and giving our families more multimedia and more resources to really understand all the amazing programs that we have. And Caitlin had come up and shared that Explore and our new website and all of these apps that will help with that. Our grower and teacher program expansion and really how do we continue to grow our teachers and keep them in the classrooms. And we had our national board certified teachers come up today, and all these things are pieces that are in the works, that are happening right now. And then additionally, strategic plan. As we lay out an overview of these five years, we're also wanting to take that deeper into how do we measure it? What are those priorities? And how do we make sure that every action that we take is aligned to the priorities that our board and our community expect? And so as we move into 26-27, we will see the launch of Brook Hollow STEM Academy. We already have a virtual school program, and students in high school are being able to participate. And I know they're at Hackney Learning Center. They're already full with individuals excited about that program and the other opportunities. And so we'll continue to look at expanding that, as well as vertically aligned high-quality curriculum in math and reading. And then P-TECH. One of the things that Ms. McManus has really been working on in CTE is looking at how do we help ensure that the CTE programs that we're offering are aligning to the needs of our local community. We want to grow families in Lufkin, to keep them here in Lufkin and move them into the jobs as quick as possible if that's what they desire to do. And so really that P-TECH planning and partnership is a grant we applied for, looking specifically at manufacturing and being able to support our students and being able to be certified and highly qualified for those jobs after high school. So, as we move in, there's planning components, and then we have launches. So that K-5 campus conversion in 27-28, the updated school boundaries that will go with that, as well as the launch of that manufacturing and industrial technology program. We already are working on other aspects through different grants, even if the P-TECH grant doesn't come through. So things like the JET grant and how do we take our current pathways and provide those opportunities. So we have multiple plans in place for funding as well as to make sure that's a reality. Also expanding TIA, that was one of the big elements that came through in the conversation with our teachers. How can we offer it to more content areas, to more grade levels? And so you'll see that's just expansion number one. It's a couple-year cycle, so you actually start planning earlier, and then you have to put it in the application, and then you start collecting data. So as we make those changes and respond, we'll continue to update and expand those groups. And then one of the things we saw was also that desire for a fine arts elementary opportunity. And how do we expand that? And so we have there as well the development of a Fine Arts Academy in 27-28, and then launching 28-29. An additional element that has been part, I know, of our board's vision, our superintendent's vision, and the principal at our middle school is that desire for more STEM integration at our middle school. And so it's really looking at how can we take CTE elements and introduce those concepts to students at middle school, and through the integration of the technical as well as STEM. And it's a program that would be open to any student who's interested. And so there's the development of that as well as the launch and expansion. And so this is just kind of a visual on a page of the response to the data and the plans that we have moving forward. As we continue to collect data, because this will be part of an annual plan, you'll see that we'll continue to adapt and adjust based on our community. And so that is very important to understand, is that we want the community to know we've heard and we are responding and we are working forward for these elements, but it's not finite. We will continue to adapt every year based on what we learn. Another element is the instructional supports for our schools, and making sure that when we reach our students that it's truly about the holistic learning that our kids are engaged in. And so part of that is being able to provide supports to grow our teachers, to be able to support their needs and support through various means, whether that be resources or operations or the instructional support. But all resources are finite. And so a tiered system of support allows us to look at how do we focus and make commitments to the schools that need more support. And so it's really about a commitment and a contract between us and our schools to help provide specific resources, and we'll dive into that in a second. But I wanted to kind of share the overarching view, is that at the top you have our Tier 1 schools. These would be high-performing schools that have demonstrated strong student outcomes and growth. There's always the need to continue to grow, and so we will continue to provide Tier 1 supports to all campuses. As you move down to Tier 2, it's a breakthrough. These are solid performing campuses that have room for some targeted growth, maybe even in specific student groups, because all means all. And as we look at tier 3, that's what we've identified and called charging. These campuses are charging forward, they're making gains, but there is still inconsistent performance or growth. And so there's additional support needed. And then we have our tier 4 schools. These are the ones that we want to really help ensure and come alongside our principals and teachers and to be able to meet the needs and the requests that they have. And so this is where we may see more significant gaps, and whether that be at student achievement or other compliance areas. And so how do you tier schools and identify who falls in where? And so we had a lot of conversations with staff and stakeholders, and it was very important that we didn't just look at A through F ratings, that it's about the whole child. And so what we did was we put together a matrix, really looking at multiple factors that we know lead to quality schools. Things such as student performance, and that includes achievement. But as we all know, there are students that come in that have larger gaps. And they may not hit those achievement levels that first year, but you're closing gaps for those students. And so that's also an element. Everyone should be growing. And so it's also looking at growth. We looked also at student characteristics. As numbers go up, such as numbers of special education students served on the campus, emergent bilinguals, or students at risk or high mobility, the needs become larger and larger for supports and wraparound services. And so that also helps elevate to let us know where to direct services and support. And then moving into that fourth category is other factors, and that's things like attendance, discipline, but also as we get into high school, making sure that we have strong graduation rates, strong college career military readiness rates. The other factor that we heard was the need to include school culture and climate. And that's about, there is data, but there's also part of a school environment is about having a place where people feel safe, where people feel appreciated, where people feel that they are engaged. And so part of this methodology will be updated next year to include that element. And part of the plan, as you saw, is that we'll also be sending out and working on collecting that data and really looking at culture and climate across all stakeholder groups to get that impact and to internalize it as part of continuous improvement. We ran all the data, and then we also looked at the specific qualitative data as well. There are other things, right, such as principal changes, or when we close 2 schools, now you have new students coming into those environments, and that may need additional support with that transition. And so that was part of it as well, and that led to our final tiering. So multiple factors coming together. And so as we look at our tiering for 25-26, you can see the campuses broken down. There are 2 acknowledgments with little asterisks on the bottom. You'll see that Slack Elementary is a Tier 2 breakthrough campus, and it is a B-rated campus, very successful. However, they also took a very large number of students and had a big influx this year due to our consolidation. So even though they're a Tier 2, we are going to help ensure that we're providing Tier 4 supports for that school. And the same with Hackney Learning Center being a new school, brand new program, and is extremely successful. Amazing things are happening. We have people knocking on the door to join every day. We want to make sure that with that new campus that the staff feels completely supported. And so those are mentioned as well. And you can see elementary and secondary on the right. So what does this mean? It means increased central office support as you move down the tiers. And it means increased campus autonomy as you move up. And so as we looked at each of the elements and the types of supports that we're providing, and we met with our principals at the beginning of this week, and really went through some activities and talking through the various supports. And so they focus on the definition, but also what does that mean for the support that the campus will receive from the district, from their instructional leaders. What is the different initiatives that we may implement from a district perspective as we look at school options, and then possibly future plans as well. And so there is a full plan laid out of support that I know Ms. Tierney, Ms. Slayton, as well as the rest of cabinet and central office are going to ensure that we fulfill that commitment. And so just in closing, all of this comes together. So from January through June, we're going to begin implementing these various elements and to help ensure that our schools are performing and that we're providing the promises that we made. Are there any questions?
I would be curious to know when we finish the studying on the CTE, what the community wants and needs are, whenever that's finalized, I'd be interested to hear
more, and I know Ms. McManus has done a lot of that through various surveys, and we can definitely look at bringing back some of those updates and that educational plan.
Yeah, so this spring we'll undergo a comprehensive local needs assessment for our CTE programs that looks at what we offer holistically, and then we will bring in different groups that are impacted by that, whether that's the businesses, the families, the students, our teachers, and pull in all that qualitative data and put it together. And we actually submit that every couple of years with some of the grants that we're involved in. So that process will happen this spring. So that report will come out this summer.
Right.
And we've been collecting the data also through other elements such as the bond work, right? We hearing from the community, and that's a big part of looking at our CTE and how do we evolve, make sure we have, best in class equipment that students are going to use when they enter the fields. And, all of those elements are working together from the bond to the educational update. And so we will continue to keep the board updated and our community updated.
Any other comments or questions? Dr. Caruso, we are grateful to have you here at Lufkin ISD and appreciate your leadership. These are a lot of big ideas, and to see it all mapped out with a plan to implement it is really important. So we appreciate the work you're putting in to keeping us on track. Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to Ms. Slayton with our Education Services and Accountability Office report.
And so we wanted to give you guys an update on our teacher incentive allotment program. We talked about that a little bit last time. Just a quick reminder what that is. It's the program that was established by TEA in 2019 through House Bill 3 to provide funding to schools so that we had funding to pay our best teachers based on some criteria developed at the local level. So I want to kind of start with the timeline to remind you all, I know you already know this, but where we started and where we've come over the last couple of years. So in November of 21, we formed a district system development committee, and throughout the next year, we worked on different subcommittees through that process, looking at, that's how the national board came about. As you saw earlier, a group of teachers were on that committee and wanted that program. We looked at different student growth measures. We looked at our T-test observations, and that committee wrote our first plan. We submitted that in April that year, and it was approved. So when we moved into the 22-23 school year, that was the first year we were collecting data for the student growth in our T-test evaluation system. So the following year in 23-24, that's the first year you get to submit the data. So we were able to turn in our data for our first group of teachers to be recognized that year. While we're in the process of turning in the data from the year before, we're also capturing data to continue the process for the next year. So we turned in and recognized 26 teachers that year and designated those, and I'll walk through the different designations at the bottom in just a minute. And the payout for those teachers was around $250,000. 90% of what the teacher earns goes directly to the teacher. Once they earn it, they get to collect that money for every year for 5 years, once they are designated. We continued the process the next several years, and then the following year, we designated 35 teachers for a payout of around $390,000. So through the process right now, where we are is in October, we submitted the data from last year, and pending approval that we should find out next month, we will have 57 designated teachers with a payout of about $950,000. So you can see the progression as we're moving through this. And then, of course, like Dr. Paraso said, our goal is to expand it to even more teachers. Right now, the graph that shows you the eligibility criteria, it is our STAR tested subjects that have a growth measure. So that's the data you guys see, how well the teachers grow the students in 4th through 8th, RLA and math, and then Algebra 1, English 1, and English 2, and then their evaluation is 40%. The chart just shows you exactly what the timeline shows you on how many we've designated and the funding there. At the bottom, right now, we have had the recognized exemplary and master's level since the beginning of TIA. And the teachers that you saw earlier tonight with the National Board, they come in at the recognized level right now. So they automatically, with that certification, earn those funds for that level. So that's really exciting. And they will earn those every year as long as they keep their certification, unless the legislation were to change something. So with House Bill 2, they did add another level, and that's the knowledge level. So I put 25, 26 out there beside it so you would know that that will be a new level for us based on the data that we're capturing, that we captured last year. So that will begin this year. So when we sent the names in, we did send names in for all of the 4 new levels. So that's kind of TIA in a nutshell. Do you guys have questions? We're transitioning from directors, so we're excited to have somebody new come in and look at what we're doing and get our committee together and start looking at some expansion possibly.
Well, I did a rough calculation, on average, that's nearly $17,000 per teacher, extra money on top.
Yeah, and you can Google the TIA funding map, and it'll pop right up, and then you can look at it by school, so you can see if you're at Anderson and you recognize you'll make this much. If you're at Rocalo and your master's, you make this much. The state sets those based on different parameters for each campus, but you can look at all of that online. It's very transparent for a teacher. So we have teachers earning, some earning at the lower level $3,000 to $6,000, and some of them so
what was the last?
States increased the amount, so from this year, I think the top level is
What is the top level here? Lufkin? That's what I missed.
Master, we have master's teachers right now, all the way to the top.
Okay.
But the state has increased the amount starting this year, so master's level, depending on your campus designation, could be $38,000.
Ms. Christie, I have a friend in another district whose wife was TIA qualified, and he retired and made her keep working. True story.
Well, that's part of it, to retain teachers, to retain our best teachers, and it's certainly helped us with that. We have quite a few that probably would have retired if it weren't for this program, so that's very beneficial for our students.
I'm really excited to see the increase in the number of our teachers that are earning this. That's good.
It's exciting.
Well, and I want to add to that, our new director that will be handling this, she actually worked in the teacher incentive allotment division. So she has a vast amount of experience outside of school districts, but on the actual end that has managed this from the state level. So she's already gotten in here and looked at data and really put forth a lot of effort already to try to figure out how can we quickly add to the eligibility for teachers within the parameters that we have. So she's already said in the next 2 or 3 months that she'll have a plan put together so that we can hit the ground running. And she looks forward to telling y'all about that. So anyway, there's big plans, and she's already on it and hoping to expand it as quickly as possible.
Great.
Is that 57 number compounded? Like
Yes.
so
Some of
it's
them
not,
are
the ones from the first, so like the first 26 are still included in the. Okay.
I'm just glad to see it's expanding. It's not just the first 26, so that's good. Adding new people.
All right,
next up, Administrative Service Office report, Dr. Spikes.
Yeah, my reports begin on page 43, has recent hires, resignations, any vacancy information, as well as on-the-job injuries. My support services report begins on page 46. That's pretty much all I have. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Next up, item number 13. This is our consent agenda. We're going to go through and allow the different people involved with this to give us any of their comments, and then we will take a vote on that. First up is Dr. Hockenberry.
Your minutes start on page 48.
Usually have minutes questions. Dr. Spikes, professional report.
This is actually the report in which you will have to approve, so obviously it has the hires that require your approval. I will say this too, that we have made an offer to our JROTC instructor as well, so we're hopefully going to secure that person here within the next few days. So we're excited to get that person started this spring so we can launch the program in the fall.
I would love if the person has time one board meeting so that we can meet them. Because that's a really exciting new program for us. It'd be great to meet the leader of that. Okay, Keith, you have the next three items.
On pages 69 through 72, on pages 56 through 68 are checks over 3,000, the invoices over 10, and the monthly check register. Unless there's any questions, we'll move on. On page 69 through 72, we have the budget amendments that we're requesting for you to approve. As always, it's just small amounts moving between the different functions, and there is no increase to the overall budget. On page 73, we have the purchase of 50. The first PO for the summit, this is an additional items that were identified that need to be added to the security access controls that y'all approved from last month, so we're requesting y'all approve that one. And the second one is for door replacements to get us into compliance with the new safety standards. We're asking for approval as well. And both of these are funded through the same grants, so there's no local impact.
Dr. Spikes, from your role on the safety committee, when we talk about door replacements at 6 different campuses, are these new things that we're continuing to find? There are same old doors and they just continue to have mechanical problems?
No, these are additional things that, so this has been covered already, we just delayed actually getting them done.
Okay.
And so no, it's stuff that we've already covered in our safety and security.
Good deal.
I have like at the middle school, we already have to replace something there? Or is it just something that's an old door from leftover, or?
Now that one is something that we have to address right away.
Okay.
And that was discovered, from my understanding, recently, but let me look into that just to make sure I know specifically what happened with that particular door.
It's our pack gym.
It's
our pack gym. It's the Panther gym.
It's the Panther gym. So
It's the old one, okay, that makes sense, okay.
Thank you.
I agree with you.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else for the items from Keith? Okay, we have Amanda Kalk with us today to discuss the Region 5 ESC Food Service Cooperative Agreement for 26-27.
I don't have a presentation. I don't have anything else to add. I just, just here for questions. If you have anything, I am happy with our co-op, and I would like to continue our membership with your approval. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to.
This is just something that we have to do at the board level annually.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
She rushed back from Beaumont.
I was in Beaumont.
She just rushed back from Beaumont.
Yes.
Okay, item 13.7, we don't have any proposals today, so with that, several routine items are being grouped into a single consent agenda. Any board member may request that any or all of the items on the consent agenda be removed and considered as a separate item. If no such request is made, all items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single action of the Board of Trustees.
Move to
approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve all the items as presented on the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item number 14, discussion and possible board approval of a resolution regarding an early resignation notice incentive pay plan for the 25-26 school year. Dr. Spikes.
All right, it's that time of year again. We need to be able to project how many vacancies we need to fill, and so those people who are thinking about resigning, we want to give them a little bit of a nudge. And when I say resigning effective at the end of this school year, so that we can start to post positions and fill those vacancies as quickly as possible. So our hope is that you'll pass this resolution so that we can send this incentive notice out, and we can encourage folks who are already thinking about it to go ahead and put their name in the hat so we can get to work and start recruiting educators for the district.
This appears to be the same numbers from last year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the early resignation notice incentive pay plan as it's been presented to us. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed to that? And that motion carries. Item number 15, there's not a need for a closed session, so we'll skip over item 16 and go to the item number 17. This is a board request for any new information or reports. I hear nothing. All right. Item number 18, we are adjourned at 7:20 p.m. Thank you.